the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
We timed that just perfect, so you didn't have to sit down and stand up here.
You did. Need a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Need a motion to approve the minutes of 2/4.
I didn't see anything wrong with them. Did anybody else? Dave, you get the right meeting this time? Everybody good?
I didn't see anything.
Okay, I'd make a motion to approve meetings from 2/4.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. General public concerns. They're busting at the door. Okay, let's move on down to claims.
Okay, I went through the claims, claims of $124,530.27, and drainage of $31,655.68.
Those are the numbers I had, I'd second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I need to sign that, huh? Okay, approve Humboldt County as a physical agent for Ministerial Association Food Pantry.
I would let you know on this, being I was the one to put this on. They are in the process still of getting their paperwork sent into the state, getting all of the, so that they don't have to borrow our, tax ID number. So next year, hopefully, it'll all be taken care of. We won't have to let them use our number, but until then, in order for them to, use that, it would be needed, so much appreciated if we do that, so I would make that motion.
I would second that. Oh, go ahead. I have a question. So is that what you call pass-through?
Yes.
They just have to have someplace for the money? It just goes...
It says in the grant that it has to be a governmental organization, so, or someone with a 501c3 or something like that.
And so that was, to Bruce's explanation, they're working on that.
Yeah.
Well, they have the paperwork, but it's a mountain of paperwork.
Oh, yeah.
going through the-
And it takes months.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have to pay like the cost too,
There's
it's like
something
$600
to
and some dollars.
get it filed.
So hopefully it'll all be done and
We'll
be
be
through the,
confidential.
through the,
Look at it.
paperwork chase and get it done, and then they'll be running it on their own. They won't have to use ours anymore.
Okay, that's all I got.
Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I missed one. Discussion on the meeting of week of February 18th, President's Day.
Courthouse is closed.
Yes.
I'm not gonna be here.
And it sounds like our budget's moving right along.
Yeah, I think I have some scenarios for you today that you might be able to go with, so.
Yeah.
What is
We wouldn't
the,
have to meet that week unless you wanted to. There was nothing specific on the agenda.
We don't need a meeting Monday or Tuesday next week.
So we do the claims today, then
We're good.
it'd be the following week after.
Yeah.
so we-
So I'll make,
can I ask a question?
Mhm.
So what's the, I don't wanna use the word drop dead date on budget deadline. Where are we?
I have to have it to the newspaper by the 22nd to be published. And I need at least a week, maybe longer, after you guys give me the approval to do all the figures and everything and double check and make sure everything's right and get all the paper ready that I need to publish with Kit at the newspaper.
And that's by the 22nd.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep.
Then-
Because of the fact that the 15th is on a Friday,
Right.
budgets have to be, approved by the 15th. So the 11th would be the last date that you guys would have unless you scheduled a special meeting. So I was trying to fit it in on the 11th. You gotta have at least 10 days' notice, no more than 20. So that makes it,
Are we gonna be good after today that you're gonna be able, that you're gonna be comfortable with that?
If you
then?
like what I show you, yeah,
Because otherwise, we might be having a meeting next week,
we could.
because you need it,
Have we got everybody's in?
Yes.
All the departments are
Everything's in, and I was able to go back and get some numbers that I had missing the last time we discussed that non-departmental budget. So those are in, tax askings are in, just questions on a few odds and ends to finish it up and see where you want the levies to end up.
so that all goes...
You don't have a worried look on your face, so I'm gonna,
No, I was surprised how
Okay.
it came
Well,
out.
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll make a motion to, not have our meeting on the 18th of February, being the courthouse is closed.
And we don't need one on the 19th, right?
No.
Unless Peggy calls.
Not yet. I second that motion.
Okay.
And if I do need something, if you don't like what you see today, we could schedule something for this week. even.
Yeah, we could do it later this week.
And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
then you'd have it. Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
Hopefully I'll get that day off too.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I'm up
Yeah,
here
you-
working.
No, no, we're
sometimes
gonna
I'm up
get
here
it.
working on budget.
You're gonna get that day, you're gonna get that day off.
We'll see.
Approve transfer, from general basic to secondary road.
Kent, I have some copies here for you if you'd like to have them. We haven't transferred any money yet this year, and we're required to, from general basic to secondary road. If you look at the one with the color on it, the maximum transfer at the bottom, one of the yellow highlighted items, $119,471. But you have to take all these other numbers into account, whether you have enough money. You've got to put in your valuation, and you've got to put all your current net property taxes and homestead and military and all your family farm credits and everything, commercial and industrial. And then this spreadsheet multiplies it out and says, okay, but you've only collected enough where you could give them $80,616.32. That's in the green down towards the bottom. So I just rounded it off to 80,000. We'll have to give them the rest of that money before the end of the year, but
It's not here yet.
yeah, it's not here yet. So we got March tax askings coming in yet. So this particular transfer would be for $80,000.
Does that 119,471, is that the total then?
Yes.
So the balance after the 80 is whatever's left between the 80 and
Yep,
119?
that's what we'll transfer the next time.
Okay.
And we have in the past, if things have been really tight, there was at least one year I can remember of, where we didn't transfer everything to secondary road, and you don't have to,
Yeah,
as long as you hit the
do
80%.
Is it 80 or is it 70?
Oh, maybe
I
70.
think it's 70%.
There's some number,
70, 75%,
magic number in there,
somewhere.
yeah.
By
But we
law, I
have
to.
tended to give them everything that they've asked for.
So, well, you'll know more whenever,
After March, when the
after
tax
March,
asking.
and then look at it and see where everything's at.
Yep.
Well, I would make a motion to approve the transfer from general basic to secondary roads in the amount of $80,000.
I will second that motion.
And then you'll see on the back side, that's what the actual transfer looks like. That's what I give to the treasurer, to give her authority to transfer the 80,000. So just for your information.
Do I have any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, approve transfer from rural services to secondary road.
Okay, so rural services also gives funding to secondary road, and for Sandy's benefit, secondary road has no taxing authority. They don't have a levy, they can't levy like general basic does and general supplemental, where all the other monies come out of. So the only way they get money is from general basic and rural services into there to give them their funding. That and their money that they get from the state. and-
Okay, like some grants and things like that also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, their farm-to-market money that they turn around and give to the cities, and so theirs shows that the maximum transfer they requested for this year was $1,393,350. But when you figure out all the current net taxes and everything else, we could only give them at the maximum $943,248.92, so I just rounded it off to $900,000. I looked at the rural services fund, there's about $950,000 in there right now, so I didn't want to run it too tight. I'd rather leave a little bit in there, 'cause we've got some library funding to come out and some other things. So, I rounded it to 900,000, and then on the back is the actual transfer. So,
It-
900,000.
Is that the same, the balance, and after the March levy tax, all that business?
Yeah.
Then you take a look at it, and
Yep,
Same
then the
as the-
remainder usually gets paid.
And these are the same numbers that they've been running us. I mean, these
It
numbers
changes
aren't a lot.
changes every year based on, it's a certain dollar amount of what the general basic rural services.
But it isn't a huge jump either way.
No.
And it's kind of the same ballpark.
It's following within the, guidelines, yep.
I would make a motion for that transfer.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'd rather done the
Yeah,
80,000
done
one
that.
rather than the 900,000.
I know, that's a lot of money.
Okay, approved transfer from community betterment lost fund to rural services.
Okay, back when we did budgets last year, you said that you would like to fund the libraries, the community betterment lost money, and that's local option sales tax. So the transfer would be for $88,259, which is this year's library amount. And we would take it out of rural services and give that to the community betterment account.
is it all library?
Yes, this is all library.
For the total, all libraries.
Oh,
Oh, there's, so there, yeah, nothing, and there's a amount left in the sales tax fund, local option,
Yes.
there's
Yep,
a balance
yep.
in there.
Yep, and I'll let you know, that's with my budget papers, I have
Right,
that for
right.
later.
I know you said you'd never like to draw that down to zero.
Right, and we're not.
It's
We're
not
okay.
even,
Yeah.
shouldn't be close.
I'll make a motion to approve the betterment loss to, $88,259.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, approved transfer from community betterment loss to general basic.
Okay, this is my last one for you today. We decided also at that last budget meeting a year ago that we would put $70,900 from the Community Betterment Lost Fund into general basic to cover the LEC building loan. We have our payments that come out, and according to Iowa code, we could levy amounts for the equipment, but you can't levy amounts for a building. It won't let you levy for a building. So we levied it for it under general basic, but then that makes general basic really tight. So if we put this $70,900 back in, it helps free it up a little bit better.
I make a motion to, approve the transfer for $70,900, basic to that fund.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, we're down to committee reports.
You guys are fast today.
We're doing great, but we're
Yeah,
staying
no.
on time.
I'm
Okay.
gonna have you sign where they have you sign.
We'll walk
I guess
by and
you
throw
want
a
it
rock
right
and
in
then
there. They don't give you much space, but
I keep away from the button.
that's a
There
good
you
thing,
go.
'cause they will come running.
Bruce warned me about that.
Yep, yep.
What, Eddie?
Well, I know, but I am kinda curious.
I'll just push it and see what happens. All right, this past Monday on the 4th, I had an LEC meeting. Everything is going pretty well there. And then, on Wednesday the 6th, it was called a discovery meeting. We had, that at the emergency management office. And that was a discussion of the Des Moines River, watershed area in town here. And that was, they were just looking to update their, mapping of this area. Bruce and Dave were there, so they
I'm
can...
still confused as to some of the, but they're gonna
I am
update
too.
it, and then in 6 months, they're gonna bring it back and let us look at it and see what we think of it. It's like, okay.
Well, part of all that it does involve FEMA as well,
Yeah.
and they want updated
They
maps.
changed the flood maps here 2 years ago or so,
That's kinda what-
and expanded them greatly.
Yeah, and now they're looking to see, I don't know what's gonna happen, but, yeah, like Bruce said, they're gonna come back and later this year, maybe it'll shrink it. maybe
Yeah, it'd be
some of,
nice.
some of it
More
will.
realistic.
Yep. So that's what they're doing.
'Cause they're,
And so like they, myself, Bruce, and Dave attended that, and it was educational to some degree with all that. So that was my two, meetings last week.
okay. I also had the LEC on Monday at 7:30, 5:30 on Tuesday night. I was down in Fort Dodge at the regional landfill. They had our executive board, and then we had the full board meeting after that to go over our budget with the full board. We were lucky enough, we had just enough to make a quorum. Quite often, we have to reschedule it because we get there and we're short one or two, and thankfully, we had enough. They made, I think we had a 3% increase in salaries, and something new they're doing for more for the commercial guys, or anybody who wants to use it, is they have a machine there to clean out the boxes when you come down that are froze. Like, you raise them up, nothing comes out. They got a machine there to scrape them out, and they've been doing it as a courtesy, and it's a full-time job, basically, and so they're gonna start charging $25 for that service, to clean out the boxes. Some counties charge up to 50, but they thought 25 was a reasonable amount to, so, that was about the only two bigger changes. The household hazardous waste, getting that mobile unit up started. They were struggling to get people to, communities to do this, because they had a minimal fee on that. And if we didn't get 10 events held, we have to give back a grant by December of next year. So we suggested that they do it for free for the first 10. They had 10 signed up that night, so.
Oh.
Something
The free part really went over well.
Yeah.
That's the hazard, they go to each community.
And pick up,
paint,
hazardous
sand,
waste.
varnish, whatever.
Yeah. So that's good that they got them signed up now, so they keep their grant money, so they don't have to give it back. And plus, to get the community started using it, so they realize it's a good thing, maybe do it once a year, or once every other year, and the smaller ones,
So did Humboldt get on the list?
They didn't get in the 10 free. I think they let some of the smaller communities jump in there and grab them to get them started.
Did they give you a cost, if there's a cost involved for them to go to a town?
It was anywhere from, they had a different tiered program for populations. I can look it up, if you'd like to know. Oh, wrong book. I can't look it up.
Okay. Well, I mean, did it seem,
But no,
for
it's
a
not.
smaller community, it wasn't astronomical?
$150.
Okay.
For, anywhere from 150 to 300.
Because I think it's sort of,
Larger communities, about 500.
so I think it's a really important service, because there's a lot
And
of...
I think once they get used to using it, they'll really like it.
Yes.
And their people in town will ask for it.
Yes,
Like, hey, when's that thing coming around again? So they can get rid of stuff.
that's a really good idea.
And if people would just, if you're going to Fort Dodge and you just make the appointment down there, you can call down to the office and set up a time to take it down. It's down on South 22nd Street.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful new building. It's a nice place. You pull right inside the...
It's an overhead
building,
covered area.
They,
Don't even have to get out of your car.
yeah.
So you can take your hazardous waste materials down there anytime?
Yeah, you just
Well,
give
you
them a
call,
call.
you have
You
to
You have to make an appointment.
You call them, pull in there, they ask how many containers you have, they pretty much shake them to make sure that it's, some of them, if they're pretty low, they don't, not that big a deal, but other than that,
Yeah, 'cause there is a fee
yeah.
for paints especially.
I took
And
like
some other things, like
20-some
bulbs.
gallons down
From,
from
you had some
20-some
familiarity
years
with
of
it.
living at the house, and we took it down there.
Well, I think that's why it's such an important thing to get it
Get 'em
out
started.
there. Yes.
Get them started using it.
Yeah.
And like you say, that paint, if it's any good, they dump it into barrels and it turns into like an ugly gray color, and contractors buy it and use it to paint primer for underlayment and stuff like that, so it recycles it rather than
Throwing it in the landfill.
throwing it away,
Mhm.
and it saves the landfill money.
And it's any chemical, I mean, any varnish, any paint remover, any
Yeah,
whatever.
aerosols,
Are they going,
fluorescent bulbs.
this is the land, what is this, after the landfill, administration, or what is it, your board thing that you're on there, the
Yeah,
Regional-
Regional landfill.
Do they send out information to the communities, so they're
Yes,
aware of
they do.
this?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had multiple meetings, I've brought several pamphlets in from the counter, so.
So then, will they physically send them to the small communities around, so they're aware of it?
Yep,
'Cause, yeah, it's a great deal. And you're gonna get a better response if it's at their,
right.
the town and the surrounding areas versus...
But for some reason, they just, I think what the problem was, these towns, from what I've understood, when she would approach them, oh, it's a great idea, they'd set it up, and then they wouldn't do it because they couldn't get people to volunteer
To be there.
to be there, because they need a fair amount of people. I see.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
You got one?
Yeah.
But that's what the typical problem response was this last summer, they, couldn't get, they need about 4 people there to help,
Mhm.
so.
And that's why you have to call in, 'cause like on a Saturday morning, they only have so many people working, so they can only do so many cars or so many
Yeah.
appointments at a time.
Mhm.
And the reason they want an appointment is they don't want a line of household hazardous waste sitting in the parking lot.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And then people get irritated, and then they start taking out their cars and setting
Oh,
them on the
no,
ground,
no,
you know.
no. They wanna
That's
deal with
why
it.
they wanna come, that gets in to their containment area in case they pull it out of the car and they drop something and spill it.
They have
It's
it.
They got a
contained,
mess.
and
That makes
so,
sense.
that's why they have an appointment.
No drugs, medication.
Well, good, as long as they're promoting it and the communities know about it,
Yep.
that's the big
Yeah.
thing.
Because, Humboldt tried to have one last year and they couldn't get the people to volunteer.
Oh, man.
Right. So, but, I think once it gets started, it'll go better.
I hope so, 'cause it's a really good service.
Anything else, Rick?
Yeah. Yeah, Wednesday morning, I was down in Webster County for IDDA, drainage. Nothing too urgent there, they got their contract renewed with Idols for the prep program for 3 more years, and possibly up to 6. And they'll actually be, if we do some sort of wetlands over here, they'll be working on that also, they got specialists.
Good.
That's what they do. And then Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock, we had a dog shelter / pound meeting. I got a board of directors elected, or I shouldn't say board of directors, we got our chairman and our vice chair, secretary and treasurer elected. So moving forward in that direction,
Good.
that's all I have.
Okay, I had...
Starting to feel like Carl.
You didn't bring a lot of papers with you.
Yeah.
I had, Monday afternoon, did help unload the food pantry truck. I think they had over 4,000 pounds again, they loaded, unloaded in there, so they had plenty of help. Wednesday, I also participated in the watershed meeting down at the emergency management building. That's the only 2 I had.
Andy?
The only thing I had was, Wednesday the 6th, I was at Cedar Falls for the January CSS meeting that had been postponed because of weather twice, but it's gonna be an interesting year at CSS. We have one of the strongest regions for mental health, and, a lot of good services, but we've got some counties that are wanting to, leave. And you can't leave if you're landlocked, so, like Emmett doesn't wanna leave, but if Cassuth, Wright, and, Winnebago leave, then they're stuck out on their own, they're gonna have to leave.
I thought you said they can't leave if they're landlocked, so they would be
Some,
landlocked, so how can they leave?
well, they're touching another one,
Oh,
so they're wanting to go into
Oh.
the northeast region, I can't think of what that one's called. Those 3 can leave, because Winnebago's touching, so they have to touch.
Hmm.
I tell you, the way they did this, it's just kind of really, not a lot, but I mean, it's just kind of different. But we have really, really good services, so nobody can really figure out what's going on, other than it's that, there's that fund, it's a spend down fund that the
They got money.
governor, yes, the governor said they had to do, well then now, so they did. Well, now the governor's backing off and saying, well, maybe we shouldn't have done this. And so now it's just kind of turned into kind of a big hullabaloo. But the services are still going, and it's just right now it's just an awareness to get people to realize what services are out there so that they use them. The other thing is that I had got some research I got to find out. Evidently, there's going to be a new policy in effect that because of the Medicare and Medicaid laws, they're going to charge their payees for people who can't do their own paying service. But evidently, Humboldt County doesn't charge a fee right now currently. So I need to look into see if that's going to create an issue if we do that. But they're wanting to do that for our, I think. So that's basic. I had kind of a fun meeting. I mean, pretty crazy.
I'm glad you call that fun.
Yeah.
I call that
With a
fun.
lot to keep straight, I mean, it's just, there's just so
Yeah.
much information.
It is.
I mean, it's just unbelievable what they do, and, yeah.
Okay. Monday, I had a meeting with Dan and the EMA. After that, I stopped over and talked to Dean and give him an application for a grant that I hope he fills out. I picked it up while I was in Des Moines. Wednesday, I was up with the DNR and the FEMA people. We met on the DD 35 watershed, floodplain. We had an animal control meeting, or Humboldt County Animal Doghouse meeting on Wednesday night. And Thursday night, we had an EMA public hearing on her budget. Can you for all that?
Yeah, just barely made it at the bottom. Good thing you stopped, I don't know where it would've gone.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move back up. It's going 9 o'clock. Kyle?
Yeah, morning.
You're
Morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Well, my name's Kyle Lehman with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, out of Des Moines. Part of the reason thought it might be late this morning because there was a train wreck getting out of Metro area this morning, the roads, and
Nasty, huh?
accidents everywhere, so I made up my time later on that once the roads
I was
improved.
trying to figure out, there isn't that many railroad crossings that you come north, so
Yeah.
there isn't that many.
Well, you know, if you're familiar with 235, that
Oh, yeah.
overpass area, it iced over overnight and people didn't pay attention. And it was like,
And you said you made it through the time off work?
well, just, I built in 20 minutes, but
Oh, okay.
I didn't think I was
He's
gonna...
gotta stay vehicle, just throws the lights on.
Oh, okay, I see.
You know.
No,
Just like you, Dean, just like you.
there was, I don't think there was one stretch I actually met the speed limit until probably parts of 20 there, but anyway, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but, probably November, December, 2080 agreement was mailed out from the Wright County Soil and Water Conservation District. And I don't know if it was circulated here today or not, but I can, if not, I can send one around, but,
If I could interject here, you had this 2 weeks ago in your packet
Right.
stuff.
oh, okay.
So it should be in your drawer, but I do have an extra, one extra one anyway, if
Yeah.
anybody needs it.
And I do have a couple copies here if anybody needs a copy too, but, yeah,
I
the
think I
weather's...
took mine home. You have an extra one.
Sure, yeah.
Why don't I give you this one, Sandy, and then he can keep those in case he
Okay.
needs them.
Yeah, I've been meeting with all the different entities recently, so it's been kind of crazy with all the weather. I've tried to escape with a few of them, but anyway, this is something that's being led by the Wright County Soil and Water Conservation District, and I'm kind of here on their behalf, helping promote this project. What it is, it's called the Boone River Watershed Management Authority. Their sole purpose, through this 2080 agreement, which is what we're proposing, or what we're sending out to the different entities, is to address water quality and flooding issues on a watershed scale. After the flood in 2008, they decided there's a change in the code that allowed these watershed management authorities to form, and as a result, there's been this building momentum to form a watershed management authority. And I will pass around a map for you to look at if you're curious of the current distribution of this, of these groups
I got it.
You got one?
across the state. I've been working a lot, I do a lot of work with western Iowa, so I've been working with the North Raccoon and the West Nishnabotna and some of the watershed management authorities in the metro area. So there's about 24, 25, I think now. We pick up a few more each year, but they're really working together to solve water quality issues and go after basically grants and do some planning. So who's involved with them? In the Boone, we would have 24 potential members, so that'd be the counties, the cities, and the soil water conservation districts. So I'm going around and having the same conversation with each entity and seeing if they're interested in answering any questions they may have. All the soil and water conservation districts are signed on, and I'm starting with the counties now and the cities, and hopefully they'll sign on too. I've had a lot of conversations, and it seems to be gaining a lot of momentum, and not many people have been, said no at this point, so. So, we have the different entities will be involved, they'll be voting members. We meet, the commitment at this time is not financial, it's just signing this agreement and saying, we're willing to have a discussion about water quality and pursue funding opportunities that may come along. Typically, they would meet about once a quarter, and once I got all these signatures of who wants to be part of this group, I'd start setting up that first meeting and send out some bylaws for groups to review and so forth. Ultimately, the first thing that we do once this group forms is there's some potential funding out there to start doing some planning, and I think that the first goal is to do a watershed plan for the Boone River, to get that going, so we can kind of set up that assessment and look for conservation opportunities, flood reduction projects across the watershed. And at the county scale, I think there's some potential play in there with hazard mitigation planning and making that connection to a larger Boone River plan, as far as maybe helping out with some, addressing some maybe local issues that may come up in this county. And ultimately, working on water quality, this is promoting voluntary conservation and trying to secure resources that are available at the state and federal level. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this document, or...
Well, isn't there already some sort of watershed group? Because I'm a landowner up in that area, and I've gotten letters on the Prairie Creek watershed thing from the federal government.
Yeah, there's currently a watershed funding source through IDALS to address nutrients, the Water Quality Initiative that focuses on Prairie and Eagle Creek. Yeah, so this would be this is more of a group for the entire Boone. It would obviously supplement, work with those individuals that are working on that project. We're not trying to create another layer.
That's what it sounds like to me, we're just creating another watershed within a watershed. I don't know, I was just wondering.
Right, yeah, I think they would be, it's more about, having this group that can make, decisions for the watershed, and, obviously that group would be one we've been working on those watersheds for, 5+ years, I think it is now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So the idea is, let's do a larger plan and kind of identify some priorities for, maybe what's next. And maybe give groups like that direction on where they want to go for a future watershed project.
I have a question as far as, the Boone watershed, does this have the direct tie with the Des Moines River for us, or is this through the, I'm
Looking up, there's a map.
Oh, it's a map on the far back.
Oh, sorry, yeah,
Back side of one of the pages.
Covers, from Laverne, zigzag back
eastern
and
half.
forth down to Thor.
So, this group is just basically working in the Boone River watershed. I guess, there's a map attached to the back there, so, it shows your contribution to the Boone River, which is not as big as some of the other counties, but, obviously, Wright and Hancock and Hamilton are some of the major players here, but, it gets, still some area there, and, some of the watershed project does include going to Humboldt, so.
How does this work with current drainage districts? Because the majority of the county is covered by drainage districts. If you look at the map there,
Right.
very little is out of a drainage district.
Well, and I think when they did it, I think the thought was the connection with the county and the supervisors with the districts, like I said, they call it authority, but there is no authority. It's a 28E cooperative agreement that we're trying to get additional conservation on the ground. Boards of supervisors, or drainage districts have been involved. They're not a voting member really, except for that you guys are serve as, I believe, trustee of the district, so, you guys are, you're seated at the table speaking maybe on their behalf, but, that's just something that's been discussed, and if, in the future, they talked about if they do any code changes, to maybe include drainage districts as a voting member to this group, but, right now, this is the way it's set up, having
So,
counties.
who would be the voting members?
Well, the county, I guess, would be the closest you get to, as far as making decisions, but there's really no, we're not doing anything to affect drainage or drainage law. We're doing voluntary conservation to promote, water quality practices and improve flooding.
Give us some examples of that.
So, some of the other watershed projects, like the North Raccoon, secured, the state of Iowa was awarded a large fund, about $98 million, and the North Raccoon received a portion of that money, to address water quality and ultimately, mostly flooding issues. And they were giving a couple $1 million to work in DV and Pocahontas County to install edge of field practices like bioreactors, and any other things they can do to maybe reduce flooding. That's challenging that in the landscape, but there was money for, wetlands and stuff like that, to do at a cost share rate. So this group would be kind of, serve as a group to go towards and look for grant opportunities, I suppose. Most of them have been successful in securing some money. Like I said, we're not creating a new set of government, it's just, we use this group to help make decisions on behalf of the watershed, and then we work through our existing channels, to secure that funding. So usually these boards don't really hold money or anything like that. It's more of just having that cooperative agreement and leveraging all these, relationships that are being made by, forming this coalition.
So what would this cost the county in future years or whatever?
The way it's set up now, there is no financial, obligation of any kind.
I noticed the word now.
And I think there is some language built in here if they ever want to, if this group or this coalition ever wanted to take on money. All these listed here, none of them have, the authorities have not taken on money because there's certain systems already set up to manage that money. Whether it's, if they want to go after, let's say, a grant or something like that, they utilize a county or a city or a soil conservation district that, that would have a large play in it and run money through them as a fiscal agent. It's just there in case, if there's a windfall, cash for, let's say next year they decide to pass something that allocates money to these WMAs, then they maybe be in a position to take on that responsibility. But as of right now, all 24, Cedar River being one of them, when the city of Cedar Rapids has kind of been the lead agent with the Cedar River. They've done a lot of work through their watershed management authority. For them, it's flooding, right? And, especially here, maybe it's more of a focus on water quality, so.
Well, I think we should have a conversation with our conservation board about this before we sign anything up with them, because it's more in their department.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, I mean, they could, if you join and if you...
Because, I mean, we have some land that's in the Prairie Creek watershed, fair amount of acres, so I think we should visit with them a little bit before we jump into things.
Sure.
That's my opinion.
I agree.
But, I am not saying we won't sign it, it's just, I'd like to visit with them a little bit.
Sure.
See what their opinions are on it.
Yeah. Not a problem.
So will there be any restrictions on the drainage district outlets
because of this, or?
No, like I said, this group doesn't really have a lot of power. It's been more of a cooperative group that's, you know, organized and went after funding sources and, you know, try to leverage dollars that are already out there. We're not gonna, you know, everything that's done at the county level is still gonna happen at the county level. We're not trying to create an extra layer here. It's just, these coalitions, you know, bringing these groups together and showing you got every entity in the Blue River watershed working towards a common goal has been very powerful when you go towards, for state or federal dollars. So that's really what they do so far, since this authority's been created, is what they've just been their strong suit, and just
Okay.
making local decisions. But, you know, it's gonna move forward. Like I said, we got quite a few signatures. You know, there's, a lot of them are talking about it and bringing it up at the next board meeting. So my hope is to, you know, if things work out well in March, to, you know, send this 2080 agreement to Secretary of State and file and formally start moving forward. Like I said, there is some funding out there that may be of interest to this group that, you know, it's kind of the reason I hope to do it in the next month or so.
Okay.
And where's the funding? Is it, it's grant money?
Yeah, it's grant money, yep.
Federal grant money?
In this case, the first one would be it's federal money, but it's administered by our department. So we make plenty of money available every year usually to these groups, solely to these groups, so they can do watershed planning. That's, you know, the Boone River, I think, is one where, you know, especially from this landscape, there's a lot of recreational value, especially as you move down the watershed. You know, it is a priority with the nutrient reduction strategy, so IDALS has a lot of interest in this, seeing this happen. Iowa Department of Ag and Land Stewardship, we're very supportive of this concept, especially with the Boone, because it fits well, and it's not a huge watershed like the North Raccoon. So, and then, of course, you got Project Aware coming there this year, you know, to paddle down the river.
Are they going down the Boone this year?
They are going down the Boone, yep. So, a lot of things going on, and, but it is something new, so I understand if you want to take, some time and reach out to partners. Like I said, I got a few contacts if you wanted to contact a district or a county, or, you know, a city with, you know, ask them questions. I mean, I'm not trying to be secret.
Well, yeah, go ahead and leave us those contacts, and then we'll forward them on to our conservation department.
I'll email them to
Peggy?
and then you can circulate them to the board?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Glad you could make it. so
Yeah,
you-
safely.
It's difficult, for sure.
Should we get this over to Todd and let him look it over? and
Yeah, I think so.
Talk with him on it,
Okay.
Yeah.
You good?
put it on the agenda for 2 weeks?
Yeah, give him time to look it over, have him come and talk to us.
Yep. So what you wanna do?
That works.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, I can get him a copy and...
all right.
And he can call Kyle if he has questions.
Absolutely. We've had a lot of attorneys call me about these, so it's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
Okay, got all that?
Mhm.
All right, any other business?
I just wanna call everybody's attention to next week, so it doesn't look like we're gonna have a meeting, as we know. Farm Bureau supper is next Tuesday, the 19th, at 6 o'clock at the Farm Bureau office. And then, following evening, Wednesday, the 20th, with the Assessors Conference Board public hearing at 6 o'clock. I don't think that's all I've got wrote down, but that is
That's what I have.
some stuff going on next week we don't wanna forget about.
What time is the assessors,
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock on...
And the farm, and you got an invitation to the Farm Bureau meeting
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I won't be here next week, so.
They really miss you if you're not there. I guess if you're not there, we'll tell them that,
I can't give Ben crap this year about my road being blacked out.
It's getting closer.
Yeah, I bet.
it's on the 25-year plan, I believe.
He's on the list right behind Carl.
Yeah.
Don't give him any options,
Really,
don't
Carl's
give
gonna
him,
get done, so.
don't give him any options.
Okay, any other business come up for the board?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
It's pretty nice.
At
Second.
9:17, my
Any other
goodness.
discussion on that? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We are